All right, we're going to be doing something a little bit different for this video versus preceding videos. Those of you who have not been here before, I welcome you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, long story short, you may know this if you know me. I've been basically recording my stuff on the go, trying to do it like in nature scenarios or, in the car, whatever. And I've done a couple at-home scenarios, but I'm trying to work on the professionalism of what I'm doing with what I got, right? So I got some free software that I downloaded to do my voice, and I got some free software to do some video editing. I've got my mic set up here to give us some clear audio. It'll be interesting piecing that all together, and it's going to take me a lot longer than it normally does to do a video, the post-production. But, I'm trying to branch out because it's quarantine, and what the fuck else are we going to do? Anyhow, title of the video, right? Quitting weed and being afraid of yourself. A buddy of mine pointed out recently on the phone that he said, well, what your problem is that you're afraid of yourself. And that can be taken a lot of different ways, I guess, or maybe only a couple. But the way that I took it immediately is that the reason that I haven't blossomed, so to speak, in this life has been because I'm afraid of success in some form. I'm afraid of making it. It's almost like I'm comfortable in a state of disarray. And I know that there's a lot of people that can resonate with that and see where I'm coming from, especially the world of people that smoke weed, in my opinion, and from the people that I've spoken to in the comment sections, of my videos, which I really appreciate those comments. Feel free to comment any questions or thoughts, whatever, like those of you who have done that already, and we can do some back and forths. But yeah, so what I see is a continuity, I think I'm using that word right, with the correlation between feeling that way and kind of just being stuck in a rut, but almost like you're okay with it, like this is where I want to be, right? And I think this applies to people outside of potheads as well. I think it applies to a lot of people in a lot of ways. And the excuses we tell ourselves to get out of things, or, to justify putting off working out one more day, or saying, today I don't necessarily need to go for a walk, then that turns into another day. And this is going to be an all over the board video because I'm just kind of flowing and experimenting with this new process here. But it ties into discipline as well. In my opinion, it's pretty easy to say that, the majority of people that are potheads, I'm not saying if you smoke weed, which I don't know a lot of people like this, but if you smoke weed like once every weekend, and that's your thing, that's your nightcap on a Friday, then it doesn't really apply to you. But if you're someone who smokes every morning like I did when I first quit, every morning all day, you're just dragging all day just to maintain that level, chances are you're not disciplined, in my opinion. And there may be people that will comment and say, oh, I'm disciplined, I smoke every day. Well, it's like, it's easy to say things and another thing to do things. And I'm guilty of that myself, fooling myself into thinking that I'm doing all that I need to do, that I'm doing all right. But then again, it's like there's another part of my mind that's like, no, you're clearly not doing everything you can do. You're clearly dropping the ball and just kind of floating. And this quarantine time is interesting because, what are you going to do? You're going to fucking just sit there and Netflix and chill and drink? Maybe, I don't know, jack off? I don't know, right? Like, what are you going to do? Or are you going to tap into a craft that you've always said you wanted to do, but you haven't done it yet? And I'm the number one guilty party in that scenario because I am just historically known as someone who will say, I'm going to do this. Yeah, we're going to do that. And the one thing that's kind of kept me on a path of trying to do and actually execute these things that I say I want to do is this YouTube channel. And another form of that for people is journaling. So if you don't do either one, I strongly urge you to do it, because for me, I have made massive improvements over who I was prior to originally quitting weed to who I am now. And for me, and I think it would apply to, in my opinion, the majority of people that smoke pot regularly, I needed to disconnect from it to grow in a lot of ways. And one of those ways is exercising in some form. Obviously, the gyms are shut down right now, so there goes that. I'm not doing that as much anymore, which sucks because I was kind of getting on a roll and starting to see a little bit of results. But I'm starting to learn how to do some stuff around the house. But I have been going on a walk, a nature walk every morning, unless it's raining, in which case I don't. But, that's something that I never did before that. Like, I never would just fucking go for a walk or stuff. There's been times in my past I would start with some gym shit or something, but I wouldn't stick with it. And with this quitting weed venture, I've stuck with it, like, for over a year now. I've been doing something active on a somewhat regular basis, if not regular, the entire time. It hasn't stopped. Whereas before, it was more common for me just to get up, either smoke a joint and then shower, or shower and then smoke a joint, fucking dick around on my phone, maybe call someone, talk to them, which is fun. I still enjoy that. But just, so that's one of the pros for that. Now, the massive curveball to this video, and it's going to be a long one, may actually be like I may end up using this as a podcast too, I don't know. But the massive curveball is that I've actually been smoking weed the past week. Long story short, it's been trying for me, being quite the extrovert, to go through this whole quarantine scenario without any actual social interaction. So I ended up hanging out with a buddy of mine, and I don't know if he mentioned it or I mentioned it just as a joke, like, let's smoke some weed. And as a sidebar, I've been able to smoke weed occasionally and not go back to my old ways. But this is the deepest plunge that I've gone in since originally quitting weed. So anyhow, we connected with some good bud there. Good bud there. I don't know the name of it, but some good bud there, right? Something to break up the monotony of the day-to-day. And it's all excuses, though, And that's why I may say that word a lot this video. It's all excuses. Whether it's like verbal, outright excuses or subconscious excuses as to why we aren't doing what we need to be doing. And not just in this quarantine time. I personally think, as I said in a previous video, that this is a test of some form. The universe is testing us all in our own ways. Even outside of that, what excuses are we telling ourselves? We ended up getting that weed, and we went back to my apartment. We smoked, had some fun. One thing with it, I'm not going to shit on weed all the way. Like, yeah, it's fun, When I smoke, I'm typically very smooth, like with talking or, doing the freestyle, the raps, which I want to try and do some more of that. I actually did that when my buddy was over here, and I hadn't done it in a long time. And I went into that, like, flow state, where you get when you do the flows. Just, like, lost myself in it. It has that kind of an effect on our mind to open it up a little bit, right? And kind of free you of your inhibitions. But I totally forgot where I was. Could be the weed. Either way, whatever it is, this is the ongoing battle of our minds. And I think we all have an ongoing battle in our minds, regardless of whether it's relative to weed or relative to changing your life, taking a different path. We all have some kind of battle that we do every day in our mind. And, without meditation, the chatter just grows and grows and grows. And especially in a time like this when we're stuck in our homes. And I know some of you aren't. Some of you may be still working. But if you are stuck in your home, it's tough. And I've fallen off the meditation thing. Like, I've seen the benefits. I know that the more you do it, the more the benefits come, and it's a practice that you have to practice. But during this quarantine, I haven't been handling it well. I lost my my job which I may be able to get back to that, but it sounds like the pay is to be determined based on whatever, which I get. I mean, I totally get it. But for me, there's no more guaranteed income. If I can still sell projects right now, but that's not happening because nobody's wanting these lights or whatever during this time of quarantine, whatever. But yeah, I got to come out from behind the 8 ball. I filed unemployment. I don't know when that's going to get here. So, it's kind of like a fucking whatever. And it's just, I got tired of doing the same shit, and so I fucking smoked some weed. Anyhow, so I've been smoking weed every day for about 6 or 7 days now, like twice a day. Like I do it in the morning. After I get back from my walk, I take a shower, whatever. And it's really been like the rainy days, the overcast days that I've really enjoyed it. To my credit, I've been messing around with this software today in a high state, which is a positive, but it is very easy to go to the couch when you're doing the weed smoking. So there's that too. The afraid of yourself part, afraid of myself, afraid of yourself, whatever. Try to think about what that means to you and why it is that way. And you may not have that. I don't know. But if there's stuff in our past that's affected how we were raised and how we grew up, well, we did. I mean, it's tough to unravel that. And I'm still working on it. I still have my shortcomings, but I have my eye on the prize. And I'm going to start working on doing this sort of stuff because I really like putting together content and I want to get good at it and even do like some voiceover work, get better with using my voice, different voices that I do. Not in this video though. So yeah, I'll wrap this up, but the other part that I wanted to bring up, also, if you have any views on any of the shit that I'm saying here, please comment it below. Let's get into a discussion about your views on marijuana. Agree with some of mine, disagree with some of mine, agree all the way, disagree all the way, whatever it is. Let's talk, but let's be civil. Okay? I'm just going to start using this time to fucking better myself and learn some shit. Whether I smoke any more weed or I don't. Again, I'm currently coming down off of a morning high, so I'm not like, I don't get stoned. I don't get like blowtorch high. I take like 4 or 5 drags and then I'm good. I am planning on stopping the weed again, though. The other fucked up thing is, I know I had this problem in the past with the weed, is like, for some reason, when I smoke, I don't know, maybe it's something in my diet, whatever, but I don't recall this prior to smoking when I got this weed. But my stomach in the morning when I wake up is like unsettled in some form. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to describe it, but it's unsettled. And so then I smoke the weed, and it's not Corona. This is some shit that's been happening in the past. I'm familiar with it. But then when I smoke the weed, it soothes it and like everything's fine. But it's almost like once I smoked a couple days in a row, now I started feeling this. I'm like, what the fuck? So let me know if you've had that before. I think that there are pros and cons to weed. I think it just depends on the person. And I've said that before. I just think personally that if you're someone who smokes regularly, like I used to do over a year ago, and you're stagnant and you're not really getting anywhere, you're not accomplishing what you could be accomplishing, you feel a lack of fulfillment in some way, whatever, list goes on. I think that correlates, and I think that a 30-day detox from weed will do anyone good. Granted, in this particular time, I understand it's tough. However, if you're someone who's been affected and you're not able to acquire said product in some form, then you're forced to do it. And as I've said 1,000 times, whenever you do it, the best way to do it is to start your morning with a walk in nature with some headphones on, listening to some motivational content. If you want some to check out, I've got a few different clips in my playlist videos on YouTube. Some are like that, some are not. Whatever, something like that that's like lifts you up. Go for that walk in the morning in nature, or do it with silence and take in the nature, look in the nature, embrace it. Take deep breaths through your nose, out your mouth. Practice breathing techniques, and in your nose, out your mouth when stuff stresses you out. Like, this shit helps so much. But exercising daily, eating as clean as possible, drinking a lot of water, and do that for 30 days and see how you feel. See what changes. It's like, why the fuck not? Give it a trial run. It definitely helped me out a lot. And I think that we all have a different level of shit that we have to uncover, how deep it goes, where it originally stemmed from. We've all got tangled webs to unwivify. And I just feel like I got a lot, but I'm also an excuse maker, so maybe I'm just saying that. But there's definitely some buried shit in my consciousness, and it comes out in dreams. I don't have like nightmares, but there's recurring scenarios and shit, and it's like I know that it's raveled up in there. Partially why I want to just go do ayahuasca and just say, let's work that out. But I know through meditation and all these practices it will help. So I'm still battling these things and trying to figure out my way in this world, this beautiful world we live in. That was a rant, different than normal. I got some shit off my chest, though. Probably not everything that I wanted to talk about. But this will probably be one of the longest videos I've done in a while, so I'll go ahead and spare you any more of that. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what you're thinking. If you're first time being here, give it a subscribe. You might like some of the stuff that's on here. And I'm going to change it up and do some things and some stuff. All right. Anyhow, you guys have an awesome week. Stay positive out there. And one love. Real deal out.